brink of total war, where a handful of brilliant minds, haunted by the specter of a madman's empire unleashing hellfire from the very building blocks of matter, penned a letter that would forever alter the course of humanity. In the summer of 1939, as Nazi Germany marched across Europe, Albert Einstein, the pacifist genius whose theories had unlocked the secrets of the universe, reluctantly signed his name to a warning for President Franklin D. Roosevelt. "Some recent work," it read, "leads me to expect that the element uranium may be turned into a new and important source of energy. Extremely powerful bombs of a new type may thus be constructed." Little did Einstein know that his words would ignite the most secretive, ambitious, and terrifying scientific endeavor in history, the Manhattan Project. What followed was a tale of astonishing ingenuity, heart-pounding espionage, ethical torment, and a power so immense it could end wars or the world itself. This is the true story of how America, in the shadows of World War II, built the atomic bomb, a narrative woven from facts that seem more like science fiction than reality. The origins of this epic saga trace back to a chilly Berlin laboratory in December 1938. German chemists Otto Hahn and Fritz Strassmann, experimenting with uranium bombarded by neutrons, stumbled upon something inexplicable. The uranium atoms were splitting apart, releasing bursts of energy far beyond what chemistry could explain. Their collaborator, Austrian physicist Lise Meitner, exiled in Sweden due to her Jewish heritage, and her nephew Otto Frisch coined the term nuclear fission, likening it to the division of a living cell. The news rippled through the scientific community like a shockwave. In New York, Hungarian émigré Leo Szilard, who had patented the idea of a nuclear chain reaction years earlier, realized the horrifying potential. If controlled, fission could power cities. If unleashed, it could level them. Szilard, a tireless advocate against fascism, rallied fellow refugees Eugene Wigner and Edward Teller. They feared Hitler, with his aggressive pursuit of scientific supremacy, would weaponize this discovery first. Germany's seizure of uranium mines in March 1939 only heightened the panic. Szilard approached Einstein at his Long Island summer home, convincing the reluctant icon to lend his fame to their cause. The letter reached Roosevelt on October 11, 1939, just weeks after Germany's invasion of Poland ignited World War II. Astonishingly, the president acted swiftly, forming the Advisory Committee on Uranium under Lyman Briggs of the National Bureau of Standards. Initial funding was modest, $6,000 for experiments, but it marked the U.S. government's first foray into atomic research. As war engulfed Europe, American scientists accelerated their work. At Columbia University, Italian physicist Enrico Fermi, who had fled Mussolini's Italy, teamed with Szilard to build rudimentary nuclear reactors, or piles, using graphite to moderate neutrons. Their goal: sustain a chain reaction where fissioning atoms released neutrons to split more atoms, multiplying energy exponentially. Meanwhile, at the University of California, Berkeley, Ernest O. Lawrence's cyclotron, a massive atom smasher, hinted at ways to separate the rare fissile isotope uranium-235 from the abundant but inert uranium-238. Only 0.7% of natural uranium was U-235, making enrichment a Herculean task. By 1941, British intelligence added fuel to the fire. Their Tube Alloys project, code for atomic research, produced the Maud report, concluding a bomb was feasible with just 10 to 25 pounds of U-235, small enough for a bomber. Mark Oliphant, an Australian physicist, flew to America to shake complacent officials awake. "This bomb is going to be made," he warned. President Roosevelt, briefed by Vannevar Bush, head of the new Office of Scientific Research and Development, approved full-scale development on October 9, 1941, just before Pearl Harbor thrust America into the fray. The project needed a leader with unyielding discipline. Enter Colonel Leslie R. Groves of the Army Corps of Engineers, a burly West Point graduate who had just overseen the construction of the Pentagon, the largest office building in the world at the time. Promoted to brigadier general in September 1942, Groves took command of what became the Manhattan Engineer District, MED, named innocuously after its initial New York offices to deflect suspicion. His first astonishing decision, appointing J.R. Robert Oppenheimer as scientific director. Oppenheimer, a lanky, chain-smoking theoretical physicist from Berkeley, lacked administrative experience and had leftist ties that raised red flags. But Groves saw genius in his piercing blue eyes and waived security concerns, declaring he's absolutely essential to the project. Oppenheimer would assemble a constellation of stars: Fermi, Teller, Hans Bethe, Richard Feynman, and Glenn Seaborg, who had synthesized plutonium in 1941. Secrecy was paramount. Groves compartmentalized information. Workers knew only their sliver of the puzzle. The project ballooned to over 130,000 employees, costing nearly $2 billion, equivalent to $30 billion today, yet it remained hidden from Congress and the public. Funds were buried in budget lines like expediting production. Astonishingly, Vice President Harry Truman learned of it only after Roosevelt's death in April 1945. The heart of the project beat in 3 secret cities, each a marvel of wartime engineering. First, Oak Ridge, Tennessee, a 59,000-acre tract seized from Appalachian farmers via eminent domain, displacing 1,000 families overnight. Renamed the Clinton Engineer Works, it became a boomtown of 75,000, complete with schools, theaters, and billboards urging, "See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil." Here the challenge was uranium enrichment. The Y-12 plant used electromagnetic separation via calutrons, giant mass spectrometers inspired by Lawrence's cyclotron. Lacking copper for magnets amid wartime shortages, Groves borrowed 14,700 tons of silver from the U.S. Treasury worth $300 million, promising to return it unscathed. Young women, dubbed calutron girls, operated the machines, tweaking dials without knowing they were isolating U-235. Nearby, the K-25 gaseous diffusion plant, the world's largest building at half a mile long, pumped corrosive uranium hexafluoride gas through porous barriers in 2,892 stages, separating isotopes by weight. A third method, thermal diffusion at S50, used steam to create gradients in towering columns. By 1945, Oak Ridge consumed 1/7 of America's electricity, more than New York City. Further west, Hanford, Washington, a vast 430,000-acre desert along the Columbia River, focused on plutonium production. 3 massive reactors, B, D, and F, irradiated uranium slugs in graphite piles cooled by river water, transmuting uranium-238 into Pu-239. Construction was frantic. 50,000 workers built the B reactor in just 11 months, a graphite cube 36 feet on each side with 2,004 aluminum tubes. But disaster struck in startup in September 1944. The reactor mysteriously shut down after hours of operation. Fermi diagnosed xenon poisoning. Fission byproduct xenon-135 absorbed neutrons voraciously, 30,000 times more than uranium. Engineers added extra tubes as a precaution, averting crisis. Hanford's Queen Mary separation canyons, remote-controlled chemical plants, extracted plutonium via bismuth phosphate, handling radioactivity so lethal that operators worked from bunkers a mile away. The Brain Trust convened at Los Alamos, New Mexico, Site Y, a remote mesa 7,000 feet high chosen for its isolation and beauty. Oppenheimer bought a boys' ranch school and expanded it into a fenced compound for 6,000. Here, theorists grappled with bomb design. The gun-type method seemed simple. Fire a U-235 slug into another to achieve critical mass. But plutonium proved trickier. Reactor-bred Pu-239 contained Pu-240 impurities, causing spontaneous fission in a gun assembly. The solution? Implosion. Compress a plutonium sphere uniformly using explosive lenses, shaped charges a fast-burning composition B, and slow baritol, arranged like a soccer ball's panels. Detonating them simultaneously required exploding bridge wire detonators, precise to microseconds. Challenges abounded. Plutonium's metallurgy was bizarre. It existed in 6 allotropes, shifting phases with temperature like a temperamental alloy. Stabilizing it with gallium was a breakthrough. To test implosion, scientists used radioactive lanthanum (RALA) experiments, injecting it into mock cores and capturing X-ray movies of collapsing shock waves, the most crucial test in the project. Feynman, the young prankster, cracked safes to expose security flaws, once leaving a note, "I borrowed document number LA4312, Feynman, the safe cracker." Espionage added thriller-like tension. Despite Groves's ironclad security, fingerprinting,